In 2026, earning $80,000 a year is the most dangerous financial position you can occupy. It is the exact economic inflection point where you are too rich to receive any help from the state, but too poor to actually afford the life you were promised. Society calls this success. Your parents call it making it. Your bank calls it being a preferred client. But the math calls it a trap. We have been conditioned to believe that hitting the $80,000 mark is the threshold of freedom, the moment you can finally breathe. In reality, it is the moment the system tightens the noose. It is the danger zone, a calculated economic dead zone where every extra dollar you earn is cannibalized by a combination of progressive taxation, benefit cliffs, and the crushing weight of middle-class expectations. Today, I am going to prove to you that someone earning $80,000 often has less actual freedom, less mobility, and more financial fragility than someone earning half that amount. You are not failing because you are bad with money. You are failing because the $80,000 salary was designed to keep you running on a treadmill that moves faster the harder you sprint. The standard advice is to work hard, get the raise, and enjoy the fruits of your labor. I am going to show you why that advice is mathematically bankrupt. The reason you fell for this is rooted in a psychological phenomenon known as status signaling combined with the hedonic treadmill. When you were making $40,000, you were invisible to the predators of the financial system. You lived in a modest apartment, drove a decade-old car, and bought generic brands. You were essentially off the radar. But the moment you hit $80,000, the system changes its tone. Suddenly, you are eligible for the premium experience. You are told that because you have worked hard, you deserve a nice SUV, a safe neighborhood with a high mortgage, and high-quality organic groceries. This is not an accident. The system needs you to upgrade your lifestyle because a high-income earner with no savings is the most productive slave in history. You are trapped by the sunk cost fallacy of your own success. You feel like you cannot go back to the $40,000 lifestyle because that would be failing, even though that lifestyle might actually be more profitable. You are carrying the weight of the system's expectations on your back, and the banks are the ones reaping the interest. It is not your fault you feel squeezed. The entire infrastructure of the modern middle class was engineered to harvest the surplus value of your labor before it can ever be converted into true wealth. Let's look at the cold hard math of the danger zone. We are going to compare two people. We have entry-level Eric, who earns $45,000, and middle-class Mike, who earns $80,000. On paper, Mike is nearly twice as wealthy. In reality, the math tells a much darker story. Mike has entered the taxation dead zone and the hidden costs spiral. Scenario A is the standard middle-class way. Mike earns $80,000. After federal, state, and FICA taxes, his take-home pay is roughly $5,400 a month. But Mike lives in the nice suburb because he was told that is what successful people do. His mortgage, property taxes, and insurance eat $2,600. He leases a mid-size luxury SUV because he needs to look the part for his corporate job, which costs him $800 a month, including insurance. His student loans, which no longer qualify for subsidies because he makes too much, take another $500. Add in high premium health insurance, professional attire, and the cost of convenience because he works 50 hours a week, and Mike is left with exactly $400 at the end of the month. Scenario B is the truth. Entry-level Eric earns $45,000. His tax burden is significantly lower due to various credits and a lower bracket. He takes home $3,200. He rents a modest apartment for $1,100, drives a paid-off 2016 Toyota, and spends $400 on groceries. Eric is left with $1,000 of discretionary income every single month. Let's look at the comparison of their actual freedom dollars. Mike, earning $80,000, has a net discretionary income of $400. Eric, earning $45,000, has a net discretionary income of $1,000. Mike is working twice as hard, taking on 10 times the stress, and carrying $500,000 in debt just to have less than half of the breathing room that Eric has. Mike is not rich. Mike is a high-volume pass-through entity for the bank, the car dealership, and the IRS. He is the engine of a system that provides him with a gilded cage, while Eric, the man society looks down upon, is the one with the actual ability to save, invest, and walk away. Consider the real-life example of Toby. Toby is a 32-year-old project manager who recently celebrated a promotion to $80,000. Following the standard advice, Toby decided it was time to grow up. He moved out of his $1,200 apartment and bought a $400,000 home with a 7% mortgage. He traded his paid-off sedan for a $700 a month truck because he needed something reliable for the house. Toby is now the definition of the danger zone. In 2026, a $400,000 home doesn't just cost the mortgage, it costs the property tax hikes, the increased utility bills for the extra square footage, and the mandatory maintenance. When Toby was making $45,000, he was poor but agile. He could quit his job and move to a new city in a weekend. Now, at $80,000, Toby is a prisoner. He cannot afford a single month of unemployment. He cannot risk offending a toxic boss. He is high-income poor. This is exactly where the system wants you, earning just enough to be worth milking, but not enough debt to never be able to run away. Research from the Federal Reserve consistently shows that the middle-income bracket is the most stressed and has the least liquid savings relative to their expenses. They are the buffer zone. The reality check is this: $80,000 is no longer a wealth-building salary. It is a maintenance salary for a lifestyle you can't actually afford. If you want to survive the danger zone, you have to commit to financial invisibility. Step 1 is to refuse the upgrade. If you get a raise to $80,000, you must live as if you were still making $45,000. This is the only way to capture the spread. The system expects you to spend that extra $35,000 on depreciating assets and higher taxes. If you instead funnel that spread into liquid income-producing assets, you break the cycle. Step 2 is to beware the benefit cliff. Understand that as you move up the income ladder, the government pulls the safety net out from under you. You lose the tax credits, the subsidized healthcare, and the student loan interest deductions. You need to calculate your effective hourly rate. If working 10 hours more a week only nets you $100 after taxes and expenses, you are paying the system for the privilege of working. Step 3 is to adopt a defensive financial strategy. This is not about getting rich quick, it's about becoming unfireable. The goal is to accumulate enough FU money so that the $80,000 salary becomes an option, not a requirement. This means prioritizing liquidity over home equity. In a crisis, you can't eat your kitchen cabinets. You need cash, and you need it away from the prying eyes of the lifestyle inflation trap. The middle class is a scam because it's a state of perpetual debt masquerading as a state of achievement. They gave you a good salary so you would stop asking questions and start signing contracts. The $80,000 earner is the most exploited person in the room because they are the only ones who still believe the game is fair. You are being squeezed to fund the bottom and protect the top. If you do not realize that your salary is a cage, you will spend the next 30 years wondering why you feel so broke while making so much. Stop playing for status, start playing for math. In a system built on illusions, the only real truth is your net worth. The $80,000 salary is designed to give you just enough comfort to keep you from revolting, but not enough freedom to ever stop working. If you want to escape the danger zone, you must stop valuing the things that keep you tethered to a desk. But the salary trap is only half the machine. While you are struggling to manage your budget, the same banks are devaluing the currency in your pocket. If you think the $80,000 trap is bad, wait until you see how they've engineered the retirement mirage to ensure that even if you save perfectly, you will still end up with nothing. Stop being a pass-through entity for the system and start being a gatekeeper for your own time. Because in the end, the system does not want your money. It wants your life.